Welcome everyone to Gilman's first ever virtual fifth grade closing exercises. Welcome to the class of 2027. I invite Mr. Johnny Foreman to deliver the invocation.
Good morning. Will you pray with me? Most high and worshipful Father, we would like to thank you for bringing us in friendship and fellowship. We thank you for the gifts of the Gilman Five: integrity, honor, respect, humility, and excellence. Also, thank you for bringing together our family members, teachers, and friends for this joyous occasion. We ask that you would continue to bless each and every one of them. Bless this ceremony and everything that will be said and performed. We ask this in your name. Let us all say, Amen. Now, Wilmer's prayer. As we come to school each day, let us not forget to pray to God who kept us through the night and woke us with the morning light. Help us, Lord, to love thee more than we have ever loved before. If all we do and all we say, to grow more loving every day. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Good morning and welcome parents, family, and friends, Mr. Smythe, Ms. Alexander, Mr. Foreman, lower school faculty and staff, and boys in the third, fourth, and fifth grade. Thank you for joining us today to recognize our fifth graders' accomplishments and the transition they are making on the next step in their life's journey. I'd like to begin by noting that the relationship between a teacher and a student is the foundation for all learning. Please join me in virtually expressing your gratitude to the men and women who have had such a profound effect upon the lives of these students, your children, the lower school faculty and staff. In my notes here, it says applause, so feel free to applaud at home. They deserve it. Our particular appreciation goes to two teachers who are leaving Gilman's lower school this year. Jenny Eigelhart has been at Gilman for 34 years. While we know her now as a fourth grade teacher, she came to Gilman to teach science, then became a part-time language arts teacher before entering fourth grade. Among many other accomplishments, she built the fourth grade social studies curriculum we know today and has been a mainstay of the Gilman Gazette. Mrs. I is known as a teacher who is skilled at helping boys believe in themselves, especially when it comes to writing. She has mentored many colleagues, was known as a friend to all, and was someone in whose room everyone felt they could be themselves without judgment. She was direct and honest with students and parents and colleagues, while also being compassionate. Let me say, Jenny, I appreciate your directness and honesty and compassion when you spoke with me. And of course, I cannot let this moment pass without noting how willing she was to try new things, even fantasy football. However, I don't think she ever embraced breakfast for lunch. Thank you, Jenny, for all you have done for students and colleagues for more than 30 years. We wish you well as you take this next step in your life's journey. John Zanders, Mr. X, has been a teacher at Gilman for 38 years and is a graduate of the class of 1977. You will hear that marvelous deep voice of his reading the boys' names when they receive their certificates, as he has done for many, many years. Mr. Zanders has been a fifth grade teacher, fourth grade teacher, and reading teacher, a wrestling coach and baseball coach, the driving force behind our annual readathon that has benefited so many local organizations, the organizer of our food drives for the Bentley Food Pantry and sandwich making from Manna House. His colleagues know him as a good friend, and as I learned yesterday, someone who likes to sneak up on and surprise them, something he never did to me, and someone whose love of books is infectious. He is the kind of person who makes everyone feel so special when they are with him. More than all those roles, however, Mr. Zander's years at Gilman have been defined by his relationship with his students. He has loved every one of them and been unwavering in his dedication to each boy he taught. If you were in Mr. X's class, he was your teacher and also your defender, your uncle, your friend. By his count, Mr. Zanders has taught more than 800 Gilman boys. Many of those boys are now men well into their adult lives, and I guarantee you, each of them remembers Mr. X as an important teacher in their lives and has a story to tell about their year in his class. John is a Gilman lifer, an example of what it means to be a Gilman man. His influence will be felt at Gilman for many, many years to come. Thank you, Mr. X, and Godspeed in the next stage in your life journey. Fifth graders, now's the time for me to share a few thoughts with you. First, let me note that some members of this class started in kindergarten and others started in pre-first and others have enriched the class along the way. All of you are at the end of your journey through lower school. And I have known most of you since you first arrived at Gilman's lower school, and we are leaving together. So much is different this year that I hardly know where to begin. I'm going to go back to the start of the year before any of us had heard the words coronavirus or COVID-19. Do you remember? I want you to think back to Echo Hill, to the Whip. For family, let me assure you, that's the dining hall, which was named after a carnival ride. To the tents, to challenge by choice on the zip line or giant swing. And most of all, though, I want you to recall the swamp walk. Oh, yes, the swamp walk. You were the first fifth grade class in more than 15 years to get truly down and dirty in the swamp. Do you remember the feel of stepping off the bank and into the water? I do. A little cold at first, but then you get used to it. Then slowly making your way through the water in a single file line, not being able to see where you're placing your feet and needing the person in front of you to warn you about hidden branches or holes. Do you remember that feeling of stepping on something and not really knowing what it was? I do. And then just when you were getting used to this swamp walk stuff, you get to the last stretch. I know you muck, the swampiest, muddiest. I don't think I'm going to get through this stretch of mud you have ever been in. Did you lose a shoe? I did. I found a shoe as well, but it wasn't mine. There is another moment that I will remember and that always puts a smile on my face. As you know, when we shook hands in the morning, I would ask you to remove your hat as a courtesy. One morning, I realized that fifth graders quieted down quickly and seemed more attentive than usual. When I asked the next boy in line to remove his hat, he did it to reveal another hat underneath. I think everyone controlled their laughter, and I managed to calmly ask him to remove that next hat as well. You showed both your sense of humor and that you were all in it together. Well played, gentlemen. Well played. Finally, there is the pandemic that has defined this year. When we left for spring break in March, who won that basketball again? I don't really remember clearly. We knew we might not come back right away, but I certainly expected we would be back on campus together before the end of the year. And I bet most of you expected that as well. Well, there's a saying that we don't always get to choose what happens to us, but we get to choose how we respond. You have responded awesomely. I'm not even sure that's a word, but it should be because it describes you so well. We talk all the time about character and being a Gilman guy. We hope that you will grow up as resilient and empathetic and flexible people. But none of us knew how much would be expected of you and children around the world these last 3 months. You have been physically apart, yet found ways to be together. You have been out of school, but have still learned. And your lives have been turned upside down, yet you have landed on your feet. Who knows what the future holds? Usually, when we ask that question, we actually have a pretty good idea of what the future holds. Today, not so much. But we do know that you can handle whatever comes next because you have risen to the occasion over the last 10 weeks. As you head to middle school, you will face new challenges, and not every day will be easy. But you know you have a family that loves and will support you, and teachers who will help you. Most of all, you know you have within you what it takes to deal with whatever happens. I am leaving Baltimore, but I will be in touch with my friends here at Gilman, and I look forward to hearing about your success in the years to come. I wish you well, and I hope everyone has a great summer. Now it is my pleasure to present this year's unsung hero. You were asked to think about a person in your class who sets a strong example and gets far less glory, recognition, or thanks than he deserves. Someone who does unselfish things that other people don't always notice. We call such a person an unsung hero. And we asked you, who do you think is the fifth grade's unsung hero this year and why? These were some of the reasons you gave for your choice. He is nice to everyone he knows. He does the right thing even when nobody is around. He treats everyone with respect. He is always willing to help if you need a hand. He kindly explained games I hadn't done before. He is a role model. And I think this one comes from this spring. He has made multiple study guides for the benefit of the whole grade. I commend all the boys in fifth grade for recognizing how important these qualities are. 8 boys were named a number of times and deserve recognition today. Recognition they were not seeking and do not expect. These boys personify the Gilman Five. I will first read 7 boys who were runners-up. And if we were in the auditorium, I'd ask you to stand up, so feel free to stand up at home if you want to. Trev Darby, Michael Johnston, Ian Kong, Aiden Kong, Tommy Malfa, Holden Sheps, and Keller Zacharopoulos. And the 8th boy is this year's unsung hero, Liam Higgins. Congratulations, Liam. Your name will be added to the plaque that is on display throughout the year in the lower school lobby. Make sure to go over and take a look at it as soon as you can get back on campus. Before we move on, I am pleased to present another award that is also on a plaque in the lower school lobby. We first presented this award 5 years ago in honor of retiring teacher Lillian Alpert. The Lillian Alpert Community Service Award is given to that member of the 5th grade class who best demonstrates service to others at Gilman and the broader community. He will be a student who shows this commitment daily in ways small and great. He will be a student who does this without expectation of reward or recognition. The 5th grade teachers and lower school administration jointly select the recipient of the award, and the name of the recipient is announced at the 5th grade closing exercises each year. I'm very pleased to announce that the recipient of this year's Lillian Alpert Community Service Award is Michael Johnston. Congratulations, Michael. Several boys in this 5th grade class have older brothers who were also lower schoolers here once upon a time. At this time, I want to recognize families whose youngest sibling is leaving lower school today. Their parents and families have been part of our lower school for the better part of a decade, or sometimes even longer. For these families, today marks the end of their lower school journey as their younger son is finishing 5th grade. Thank you for your support over the years. Those boys are Chase Cranston, Cooper Haney, and Finn Ratchford. At this time, We will have the presentation of the class gift, and then the fifth graders will present their most memorable moments. I would like to invite Teddy Martin from the Student Council to present the fifth grade class gift.
The fifth grade traditionally presents to lower school with a class gift each year at the closing exercises. This gift is usually something that will benefit the entire lower school and that will be a part of lower school for many years. This year's gift is something that every student will be able to use whenever they are outside at school. It will also be appreciated by hundreds of lower school students in the years to come. The fifth grade class is very happy to give the lower school a new basketball hoop and adjustable stand for the blacktop. We know the hoop gets a lot of use from students of all ages, and our class made especially good use of it this year. We look forward to seeing the hoop when we come back to this lower school next year.
My most memorable moment was when I was climbing the Alpine Tower in third grade. I was almost at the top when I realized I had a very hard path to get all the way up. I would have had to make a long jump to a suspended rope ladder, but I knew that the jump was too far. I decided to take an easier way to the top, even though it wasn't exactly on the path. I climbed up onto the logs, holding up the top platform. Then I realized I was stuck. I wondered if I would have to jump back down to the bottom. Then both Mason and Teddy stuck out their hand and helped me up over the railing and onto the top platform. It was such a great moment.
One of my most memorable moments at Gilman was playing in the 5th grade versus faculty basketball game. The reason why this event was so meaningful was because I had broken my finger and I thought I wasn't going to be able to play. Luckily for me, when the day arrived, I had recovered enough to play with a splint. This meant a lot to me because the game was a very big event that most 5th graders remember. I will never forget this game, for I was able to score 6 points for my team. I was very proud of those 6 points. We were actually one of the first 5th graders ever to win the game with fair rules. It was a very close game, but after a lot of back and forth, we came out on top. Ecstatic, we stormed the court to celebrate our win. I will never forget that moment and the taste of our hard-fought victory.
My most memorable moment at Gilman School was 4th grade. Mrs. Eigelhart was the best teacher I've ever had. She always understood me, and she was always kind. She was the first teacher that understood how to teach me and everyone else also. I feel like that year I learned a lot, and my life has changed that year. After the first week with her, I was getting better grades than ever. Thank you, Mrs. Eigelhart.
And my most memorable moment was the 4th grade Chesapeake Bay field trip. I will always remember this because I got to pet crabs, which is amazing. I will remember that field trip for my entire life, and I will remember the Gilman Lower School.
My most memorable moment is 2nd grade Immigration Day. This is my most memorable moment because I was in first class and I got a sense how immigrating people actually came to America. I feel like this had a very big impact on my life.
My favorite memory at Gilman Lower School was my first day in Mr. Schroeder's math class. He teaches in a discussion-based system where he learns things from us while we learn things from him. It has taught me to think outside the box, and I know that will be very important in middle school. I'd also like to thank all the lower school teachers for giving me such a great experience for the past 6 years. Thank you.
My most memorable moment was when Liam Higgins, Liam McGettigan, and I were making a fairy tale that had to be acted out later. After a couple of days of hard work and teamwork, we had a storyline. One thing that we had to convince each other about was the main character's name. Then we had to decide the roles of the characters, and we had to make props. Then after a couple of days of practicing and editing, we were ready to present. After we acted it out, I felt accomplished. This moment helped me to grow because we had to work together, we had to take others' ideas into consideration, and we had to trust each other when we were presenting.
And my most memorable moment is when I was in 3rd grade with Mr. Williams when we did March Madness, but with music artists.
My most memorable moment was the day before winter break this past winter holiday. My classmates and teacher brought holiday presents to the room, We got to swap presents with whomever we wanted. Then we ate donuts and drank hot chocolate in the assembly room with our little buddies. Before leaving, we watched some of The Grinch. This is a memory I will always have of my Gilman friends.
My most memorable moment is climbing to the top of the Alpine Tower twice because it was really fun and my father was there to watch me.
My most memorable moment is when, in kindergarten, my friends and I got to roam around Gilman at night. We met up with Mr. Smythe, and he took us to the clock tower. Looking over the Gilman campus, this is when I knew I made it to a great school.
My most memorable moment was when I was in the Gazette. I had Aiden and Ian as partners, and we were always joking around. They were great friends. Our Gazette teacher was Mrs. Eigelhart. She was great because she was very supportive of what we wrote. That is how we got to write awesome stories.
My most memorable moment has got to be first grade. I say this for one main reason. It gave me my fondness for Gilman. It was here that I developed my addiction to reading, as my brother puts it, and my interest in history. That's mainly because Miss Miller, or Miss Kimtis as she's now known, was such a great teacher and my favorite to this day. I chose this as my most memorable moment because first grade was the year I truly began to embrace Gilman.
My most memorable moment from Gilman is when I climbed the Alpine Tower for the very first time to the top with my friends.
My most memorable moment was my first day in 4th grade. I was a new student at Gilman and I was playing football at recess. That game of football began great friendships with me and my classmates.
And my most meaningful moment was when the Gilman community came together to help me and my family after our house burned down. Not only did they give us physical things like school supplies and clothes, but they also made me feel better. Mostly, they made me feel like I was part of a larger family.
My most memorable moment was when I first came to Gilman in kindergarten. I was very nervous, but also very excited at the same time. I knew it was going to be an adventure. I walked into the classroom to see many boys playing with toys and gadgets. One boy was playing with building blocks. He offered to play with me, and of course, I took the opportunity. We became best friends and always played with each other. This was my most memorable moment at Gilman.
My most memorable moment was Immigration Day because it was almost like a real-life simulation of what our ancestors came through. There were doctors that had to check up on you and see if you weren't sick, and then you had to get on a boat. The upper class got served bread and cheese served on a silver platter, and the lower class that got bread and bugs thrown at them. Once we got off the ship, we were made American citizens, and then after that, we played sports across the world.
My most memorable moment at Gilman was when I got to help out the younger grades with Makerspace. I had a chance to help grades 1 through 4 with building games and things that go. It was fun noticing the different interests and independence levels as the grades progressed. I love being a leader, so it was fun to help out.
My most memorable moment was the 5th grade first faculty basketball game. I was so excited it didn't get canceled, and we were able to play right before we left school for spring break. It was the last time our whole class was able to participate together and cheer each other on while beating the teachers by 1 point. It was so exciting. It was extra special for me because I was the last group to go on the court. When we won, the whole grade rushed on the court, and that was the best feeling, cheering with my classmates.
My most memorable moment was in 1st grade, in Miss Shapiro's class. We would have Miss Davies, who would come read to us. We didn't know who would be coming, and we would wait to see who it would be each month. I was excited to see my middle school cousins be the Miss Davies. They were my reason for coming to Gilman. Now I'm going to middle school and following in their footsteps.
My most meaningful experience that has happened to me in the lower school while I was here was my first day of school. This was such a special day for me because I realized what a place Gilman is. This day, I made friends, got to know the building, and the Gilman 5, which is one of the most incredible things that I have not seen in any other school but Gilman. Gilman has taught me stuff that no other school would have taught me. And most importantly, they've taught me how to be a gentleman. This has inspired me ever since, and because of this moment, Gilman School has been really meaningful.
And my most memorable moment was the first day of 3rd grade. When I walked into 3C, I saw my teacher, Mr. Williams. As soon as I walked in, I was met with a smile and a greeting. When this happened, I knew that the school year was going to be a blast. Sometimes when I had a bad day, Mr. Williams and my class would do whatever they could to cheer me up. I am very thankful for having all of my teachers and faculty. And lastly, all my classmates who have helped me get through the past 6 years of this educational journey.
The most memorable moment to me at Gilman was when, in 3rd grade, my brother Ian and I played a violin piece at the Gilman Winter Concert. Even though I like to play violin and have performed on stage in many concerts, I was nervous to play for an audience filled with my friends and their parents. This was memorable to me because my classmates and my teachers congratulated me when it was all done. I felt relieved and proud to have contributed to the Gilman community.
My most memorable moment is when we went to St. Mary's City in 4th grade. It taught me to be more independent and to not need a teacher or a parent looking over me. I also learned that I should not stay up until midnight when I have a school day the next day.
My most memorable moment was Immigration Day in 2nd grade. This was a meaningful experience in lower school for me because it gave me a little sense of what it was like to be a real immigrant back then. A few things that I really remember about Immigration Day were when we were in the courtyard and we were pretending we were on a boat to America. There were a few students who were first-class passengers that received great food and service, while the steerage, which was what I was in, got terrible food and sprayed with water while the first class was laughing. Another thing I remember was when we got off the boat and I was expecting the parents that were pretending to be guides and then people who ask you questions to be like their regular selves, but they were acting like real guides that were sort of screaming at you and not being that nice. I kind of wanted for the parents to be their regular selves again. Immigration Day was an experience I won't forget.
My most memorable moment is when we went to Echo Hill and did the mud run. I choose the mud run because we had a lot of fun, and after we had fun cleaning off in the ocean, and it was a lot of fun getting messy and jumping in the mud at the end, and it was hard, and a lot of people lost their shoes. We had to get them, so yeah, that's my most memorable moment.
My most memorable moment at Gilman School was when I first came in the pre-first. I didn't have many friends, and I was a little bit shy. But then when Jonathan Bradley came in the pre-first, something just clicked. We both liked the same things, and I was shy, and he was a great friend to me when I needed him, and he always had my back. Thank you, Jonathan, for being a friend when I needed one.
My most memorable moment is in 3rd grade when we made brownies for the fractions unit.
My most memorable moment in lower school was during my 4th grade when I went to St. Mary's City. It was a great experience because I got to learn so much about Maryland's history. I thought it was interesting how the early settlers adjusted to their new life. There were so many activities, and I got to watch the football game when I got back to my hotel room. It was such a great experience, and it really helped me appreciate my time in the lower school.
My most memorable moment in my experience in the Gilman Lower School was the presidential parade in 1st grade. This experience sparked my love of learning world and military history. For the presidential parade, my president was Richard M. Nixon. Through learning about his presidency, I was fascinated by the connections and complexities of politics, war, and diplomacy. Additionally, I loved to learn about the leaders and the country's decision-making and analysis of the situation. Since that experience, my love of history has bloomed and has fostered my love of everything history-related we learn in the lower school, as well as my free time. Looking back to my time in the lower school, I am grateful to the teachers and staff and will bring my passion and curiosity for learning with me to the middle school. Thank you.
My most memorable moment in the Gilman Lower School is the teachers versus student basketball game. This was my most memorable moment because I got to play alongside the teachers that I've had since 1st grade. It was very fun.
My most memorable moment at Gilman was the first day. I just came from Utah,
and I was new to the neighborhood and school, and I didn't know anyone there. I came to Gilman ready to make friends and ready to learn. Every day I come to Gilman and I see those exact friends, I learn something new, and then what keeps me going every single day.
Hi, I'm Ethan Joshua Groden, class of 2027. My favorite moments from the Gilman Lower School were Immigration Day, learning how my family came to America, walking through the muddy swamp at Echo Hill, and winning the Gilman basketball 5th grade team. I'm looking forward to middle school because I'm going to meet new friends, teachers, and I'm in puberty.
I will never forget my first science class with Miss Stolzenbach. It was the start of 4th grade year. Miss Stolzenbach was a new teacher at Gilman. I did not really know what to expect from a new teacher. On the very first day of science, she jumped up on top of the desk when she introduced herself. I was shocked because I had never seen a teacher do that before, and that really got my attention. Miss Stolzenbach had a lot of passion for teaching science. She put a lot of energy in all the little things that she did. I knew from that very first day that Miss Stolzenbach was going to be a great fit for our science class because of how much she truly cared.
My most memorable moment was when me and my friends loved playing Foursquare, and sometimes little kids would come and play with us too. Sometimes it got a little too intense between us 5th graders, so Mr. X volunteered to watch over our games. One day, I was in the library near the back window, looking at where the windows were looking out on the Foursquare card. Mr. X was coming towards me, and he said for me to look out the window. I saw an abundance of squiggly-lined, mixed-colored Foursquare cards. "See that, Joe?" he said. "That was all because of you and your friends. At the time, I wasn't too thrilled, but now that I think about it, I would never imagine me doing all of that."
My most memorable moment in the Gilman Lower School was when my team, the 5th grade, won the basketball game called 5th grade versus faculty. Usually, the 5th grade wins always because of some hidden advantages given by the teachers. But like not calling fouls in the 5th grade or calling extra fouls for the teachers. But this year, my class made a petition so no one has any unfair advantages. So this year, my grade won because just because they're able, not because of any cheats. This is my most memorable moment because it feels good to be able to win and know that you actually did something, not given cheats and hidden advantages by teachers.
My most memorable moment was when I first entered kindergarten. I was really scared because I didn't know anyone there. It turned out everyone was really nice and all my classmates were very welcoming and my teachers were too. Before this, I hadn't really liked going to school, but after seeing how welcoming everyone was, I started to love learning new things and going to school.
My most memorable moment of the lower school is the students versus faculty game. It was so fun! I got to see all of my lower school teachers, and I got to see how much I had grown over the years. I also got to play with my 5th grade friends. All of my 5th grade friends were huddled on the sidelines cheering for each other. The stadium was so loud with cheering and excitement. This will always be my most memorable moment. I will always love and remember my Gilman family.
My most memorable moment is the Gilman 5th grade basketball game.
I had learned to play the flute well. I had never played an instrument before. I discovered that I had a new talent. Mrs. Cable told me I had a good ear, but I just needed to practice some more. I fell behind because I couldn't practice at home for a few weeks. Mrs. Cable really encouraged me, and now I'm able to play many songs. I'll play a song for the virtual concert. This experience taught me
how to persevere when things go wrong, and it gave me confidence to try new things.
My most memorable moment was when in first grade, Mrs. Kemptis acted like an alien. We had to teach her how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She only knew a couple of words, like jar, knife, peanut butter, and jelly. It was hard because we thought that she knew some words when she just asked what the word was. This was a memorable moment because it not only taught me but my class about perseverance.
My most memorable moment in the Gilman Lower School was in the second grade pep rally. It was when a tank came into Gilman, and like before, like in first grade and kindergarten, it was really fun. The prep rallies, they were amazing. It was probably the best prep rally I've experienced in Gilman.
My most memorable moment in the lower school was my first day of kindergarten because I met my friends there and it was the first time I ever came to Gilman.
And my most memorable moment was in third grade when me and Mr. Williams clicked. I knew we were always friends, but that moment just felt special.
I had a lot of memories from the lower school, but the swamp walk had to be my favorite. I liked it because it was really fun and I got to spend a lot of time with my friends. My favorite part was when we rolled around in the sand and we jumped in the river. I'm looking forward to making even better memories with the class of 2027.
My most memorable moment was in third grade when we were playing boundary ball. I actually kicked the ball into the basketball hoop from across the court, and my whole team jumped on top of me. They did this because if you kick the ball in from the opposite side of the court, you won automatically. I was new then, so this made me feel included and like I belonged.
Closing exercises. It is a pleasure to have you with us. And before I go any further, I want to thank the people who really made this possible. Ms. Testerman, whom you all know, Mr. Chicanti, whom some of you may not know, and Mr. Flint, who've really been working hard behind the scenes to make this ceremony possible in this environment. So we're very appreciative of their efforts. Mr. Foreman, thank you for offering the invocation and Wilma's prayer at the outset. And I also want to thank and acknowledge Ms. Kemptis and Ms. James and Ms. Rizzuto, and as Dr. Webster already has done, special tribute to Ms. Eigelhart and Mr. Zanders. I think I'm doing the math right here, guys, but this represents 72 years between Ms. Eigelhart and Mr. Zanders. 72 years at Gilman, which is remarkable, and we are indebted to their service to our school without a doubt. Of course, Dr. Webster, you mentioned your departure. I'd like to take a moment here to thank you on behalf of everybody at Gilman for your 6 years of leadership of the lower school. The warmth and love and care with which you approach your work and your guidance of the lower school faculty and staff and the students are so deeply felt and appreciated. And we want to thank you and wish you well as you head into your next chapter of your great career in education. So thank you. A couple of other thanks, Teddy, for the class gift. I'm excited for the hoop. You know, I use that sometimes too, because this is not only our campus, but it's my yard. So thank you for that. And Liam, congratulations on being named the unsung hero. Michael on receiving the service award. I know those are well earned. I always love listening to your reflections on your memorable moments. And Tommy, I remember that time in the clock tower with you and your friends. Chase, thank you for reminding us who won the basketball game. In case Dr. Webster, I think, was trying to avoid that. And Derek, you went a little easy on us. You talked about how much fun the game was, but didn't remind us the score. Chase was good to do that, just to put us back in our place. And guys, yes, I guess when you hit middle school, most of you at some point along that journey will hit puberty. So something to look forward to. At this point in our ceremony, we always like to take a moment, just as we are celebrating the fifth grade. We also want to take a moment to recognize faculty. And we like to commemorate certain milestones, excuse me, along different teachers. And this is a pretty neat moment, boys. So I know you can clap at home, but at this time, we are going to recognize 20 years of service to Gilman. And that's Ms. Tammy Testerman. Ms. Testerman, thank you for those 20 years. And here's to another 20. And then for 30 years of service, we want to recognize Ms. Matthews. Dia Matthews, thank you for those 30 years, maybe another 30 ahead as well. And we will give those people, guys, so y'all know, we give them an engraved plate to commemorate those milestones, which are really well deserved. We also give out every year, this time of year, some faculty awards. Some of them go to teachers in each division, and some of these awards are awarded to a teacher throughout the whole school and not just by division. And so without further ado, I'd like to go into those awards. We have 3 teachers to recognize this year as part of this ceremony. The first award was started in September of 1998. It's the Mr. and Mrs. Stephen T. Scott Gilman Advisor Award. It was established by the Scott family, as I said, in 1998. And this award, in addition to providing funds for professional development, is given to that member of the faculty who excels in the area of counseling and advising. And this year, we're pleased to offer and award the Gilman Advisor Award to lower school teacher, Ms. Becky Stevens. Becky, congratulations. The second award is the Edward K. Dunn Family Faculty Award. It was established by the family of Edward K. Dunn, class of 1918, and a member of the Board of Trustees at Gilman for 54 years. He was a loyal and devoted alumnus of Gilman, and he was the first alumnus to serve as the president of the Board of Trustees. And this award is given to members of the Gilman faculty who have made exceptional contributions to the development of the character of students. And I'm honored this year to present the Dunn Faculty Award to Ms. Michelle Turner. Ms. Turner, congratulations. And then finally, the APGAR Award for Teaching Excellence is intended to recognize, honor, and reward individual teachers who have had a demonstrable impact on their students. And I'm pleased to present this award this year to a lower school faculty member who was so devoted to creating talents, developing the talent, and teaching her, in this case, second grade students, and that's Ms. Caroline Way. Ms. Way, congratulations. Before I move on, I just want to take a second. We've given those awards and singled out a few faculty members. Guys, I also, as Dr. Webster did, just want to take a minute to thank all of the teachers, all of the faculty and staff in the lower school for their efforts throughout this entire year. As we've all acknowledged, this has been an unusual year, and I'm so pleased with and proud of how the faculty have stepped up in a time of uncertainty. And so I think we all owe them our gratitude and appreciation. So thanks to all the teachers, faculty, and staff in the lower school on all your efforts on behalf of the boys. So now it's time to move on to the awarding of the certificates for the class of 2027. And boys, what a day. Before we go to that moment, I want to just offer a couple of thoughts to you and echo some of the things that Dr. Webster has already said. for you and your families, this is a great moment to stop and take stock of how far you've come. If you can remember, and it's hard to do maybe, if you can remember back to kindergarten or even pre-kindergarten, wherever you were, and as Dr. Webster said, a lot of you weren't with us yet at Gilman, but wherever you were in kindergarten, think about all of the growth and development that's happened between then and now. In a lot of ways, you've learned to read, or at least learned to read well and better. You've learned to write and write better. You've probably learned how to throw and catch. You've made new friends, and your memorable moments attest to that fact. A lot of you have come to a new school because you didn't start Gilman in kindergarten. And of course, in the last several months, we've all experienced a global pandemic. It's a ton of growth, boys. And what's so neat about this moment for y'all is that there's so much more ahead still. And what we hope is that the lower school and your time in our lower school has prepared you for continued growth and development, because the journey is only just starting for you. And that's the beauty of life, is that it is a journey and there's so much more to go. And what we hope for you as you move forward are two things. And they both have to do with this continued development and growth. One is that you continue to be your best self. We talk about that a lot. Continue to cultivate your individual strengths and your talents and your gifts. The other thing that we ask is that you help to make the world the best version of itself. And understand, as you hear me say a lot, that you're not in this world alone. Right? Everything that you do is influenced by, and you influence those around you. You are part of something larger than yourselves, boys, and that's an important thing to keep in mind, because you are working to make the world a better place. And it doesn't take much exploration of the news or anything right now to understand, guys, that there's a lot of pain in the world right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Some of it brought on by COVID-19 and a new global pandemic. A lot of it brought on by racism and injustice. And what we hope that you can do by honing your skills to be your best self and by making the world a better place is that you put your talents and your gifts to good use to make a better world, a world that is free of racism and hate, one that's full of justice and peace, to put it in a positive way. And that's what your continued growth should be about. So, boys, as you reach this milestone, go out to help us make the world a better place. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished so far. Congratulations on completing lower school. You're ready for middle school, and we look forward to welcoming you back to middle school in the fall. Congratulations, well done. And now for the presentation of the certificates.
Derek Abraham Alexander Jr. Jackson Hale Boyd. Thomas Stephen Bizzuto III. Jonathan Thomas Bradley. Nathaniel Broderick Carr. Mason Harold Coates. Chase Lindley Cranston. Robert Trevelyan Darby. Ryan Q. Dixon. Connor James Durand. Tyler James Foote. Aryan Adi Goyal. Ethan Joshua Groden. William Enbeck Hahn. Cooper Wilson Haney. Liam James Higgins. Joseph Pierce Hutzler. Izumo Sasaki Ijima. Rohan Jari. Emmanuel Franklin Johnson. Mason Andrew Johnson. Michael Saunders Johnston. Aiden Rupert Kang. Ian Alexander Kang. Joshua Elliott Kim. Lincoln Thomas Kozak. Thomas James Malfa. Thomas Edward Martin. Gabriel Benjamin Mays. Liam David McGettigan. James Anthony Malika IV. Owen Ray Murphy Lank. Cole Robert Newcomb. Kendall Joseph Owens. Ibrahim Fars Pater. John Patternot. Finn Nolan Ratchford. Holden Matthew Sheps. William Xavier Sheridan. Noah Alexander Sonata. Lucas Marcus Tadros. Jonah Edgar Thompson. Marcus Turpin. Grant Martin Wright. Benjamin K. A. Wu. Logan Pierce Yousefi. Keller Thomas Zacharopoulos. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gilman class of 2027.
Loyalty and honor are to the great I would like to extend my congratulations to the members of the 5th grade class for successfully completing your course of study at the Gilman Lower School. From speaking with Dr. Webster, Mr. Lawson, and your homeroom teachers, I know that you're an impressive group of boys with a diversity of talents and interests. Your teachers will profoundly miss you, but are so proud of your accomplishments. Even though this closing exercise marks the end of one part of your journey through life, another segment begins, as wonderful opportunities will become available to you in the future. Your experiences in the lower school have prepared you for the adventures that await you in 6th grade. Some of you may feel nervous about next year, or may be excited and cannot wait to start school in the fall. However, for most of you, the only thing you're thinking about is summer and the time you will spend with family enjoying your well-earned vacation. However, please don't forget about your summer reading. None of us would have gotten through school without the support of our parents. To the parents, congratulations. I know you are proud of their accomplishments. You have much to look forward to as your son begins the next stage of his education in the middle school. It is an exciting time, one filled with challenges, but just as many rewards as well. Students, I look forward to working with you next year. I know that we will work hard together, have fun, and you'll make us proud. If the next leg of your journey is at another school, your Gilman Lower School education will serve you well, and perhaps our paths will cross one day in the future. Enjoy the rest of the day as you celebrate with loved ones. Congratulations, class of 2027.
Now for the benediction. Will you pray with me? O God, we come to you this morning with hearts full of pride, not pride for ourselves, but pride for the young boys here today. We thank you for your assistance on the journey toward the pinnacle of success, and we humbly ask that you make each one of them proud of what they have been able to accomplish, especially these last 11 weeks. We ask that you help us to be ever mindful of our responsibilities and obligations to be of assistance to each one of them as they move to their next academic level. And for these blessings, we ask in your name. Let us all say, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. There's one more teacher we need to mention and acknowledge and thank who is leaving lower school at the end of this year, and that is Mrs. DeSmit. Debbie was our inaugural pre-K director and guided our 4-year-olds on what could be the beginning of a 15-year journey. And we thank her so much for getting that program up and running, as well as the 3 years she spent in kindergarten prior to that, and the many other ways she has served Gilman School as a parent and along the way. So thank you, Mrs. DeSmit, for all you've done. Boys, we have shared our years together in lower school, and I will carry this class in my heart always. My thanks to your parents for entrusting you to our care for your years in the lower school. I love you guys, and I will miss you all very much. 5th graders, families, faculty, and staff, this ends our program, and we congratulate the class of 2027. We will now go to a Zoom reception, and we will see everyone there. The reception will begin right after this program ends. So see you down the Zoom, guys. Thanks, everyone.